Hey everybody, it's Michael from Replica Airguns with another informational video. Today we're going to discuss different types of airgun safeties most commonly found on airguns. Now this isn't going to be specific to airguns. On real guns you'll find a lot of the same types of safeties, especially since these are replica guns. They're going to simulate the real version or the real steel version. Oftentimes they'll simulate the safety as closely as they can. So we're going to talk about 6 different types of safeties. We're going to talk about trigger safeties, cross bolt safeties, slide safety, frame safety, grip safety or backstrap safety, and also the magazine safety, which is a little bit harder to show, but I'll explain it at least. So let's start off with the trigger safety. What exactly is that? A trigger safety is something you're going to find on certain guns, like a Glock here, and that's this little guy right here. So this means that I can't shoot the gun. I cannot press the trigger until I actually engage the safety here. I'm going to point it in the safe direction. It might have some gas in it. And then I can shoot it. But I can't shoot it if I don't push the trigger safety. So you have to put some pressure on this little, it's basically like a little lever or a safety that has to be pushed down, sort of flattened along the line of the trigger, and then you can shoot it. So this is like a Glock. And most commonly, you're only going to find trigger safeties on Glocks, maybe magazine safeties. I'll talk about that in a bit. I'm not sure if the Glocks actually incorporate a magazine safety, but we will talk about that in a second. So we have this XDM, and this one also has a trigger safety, as you can see here. It also incorporates a grip safety, but we'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk next about a crossbolt safety, and sometimes you'll find them on the trigger, which doesn't mean it's a trigger safety, because with this pushed in, you're not going to be able to shoot it at all. Doesn't matter how hard you pull the trigger. It is a crossbolt, so it goes across, so it goes from one side to the other like a bolt. So when it pushes it out that way, it's safe. When it's red like that, it's ready to fire, okay? And you'll see them on triggers sometimes, especially in air guns. You'll see them on like other guns. A lot of rifles will use crossbolt safeties as well. They're generally somewhere near the trigger area, so they're easy to access. Okay, so again, another crossbolt safety. And when you see the red, that generally means that it's ready to shoot. Now you're going to find safeties on the frame of the gun and on the slide of the gun. So let's take a look at a slide safety. So basically what that means is, we're on safe there. What that means is the actual safety is on the slide and not the frame, okay? So you see that with some older style guns like the Makarovs, Berettas have them. A lot of Berettas have slide safeties. You're gonna find it on, a lot of different guns, but a lot of more, I guess, new modern guns, they put them on the frame. And so let's talk a little bit about a frame safety. So I'll show you a few different versions of frame safeties. The classic 1911 has a frame safety. So it's on the back of the frame here, but this is a safety. So again, red indicates fire, right? You can't pull that hammer back until you remove the safety and put it in the non-safe position. This one also has a backstrap safety, which we're getting to really soon. That'll be the next one. So some guns will incorporate multiple safeties. So for instance, we have a frame safety and a backstrap safety. Before I move on to the grip safety, let's take a look at another frame safety. So we have, actually this one here has a frame safety here, okay? So that's just going to be your safety. And you see how it covers it up. So when it's down, it's ready to fire. And that's pretty much it for frame safeties on the guns on the table. So we have the 1911 and this P365 here, SIG P365. Let's talk about grip safeties, okay? So you'll notice we have one on the 1911. And basically what that means is your palm has to be flush with the grip, pushing that in order to fire it, okay? So if I take this off, I cannot fire the gun until I push that in, okay? So that is a grip safety, okay? Sometimes it's referred to as a backstrap safety. Again here, the XDM has the same system, so this one has a trigger safety and a grip safety that is required to be pushed in with the palm of your hand. It's just another added level of protection. You're not going to accidentally fire the gun unless your hand is in the right position on the gun, holding it properly. Now what a magazine safety is, and it's going to be a little bit hard to explain. Essentially what that means is you can have a round in the chamber. Now with air guns, because the gas is typically in the magazine, when the magazine comes out, this gun is not going to fire because there's no propellant. So the CO2 in here, the magazine comes out, nothing's going to happen. So it's not really a necessity with air guns unless there's some sort of CO2 in a different part of the gun or compressed air or whatever in a different part of the gun other than the magazine, and that's very uncommon. But with a real gun, you can have a round in the chamber, drop the mag, and fire it with no magazine in. So what some manufacturers do is they put a magazine safety in the gun so that when the magazine is dropped, you can't pull the trigger. So that would be a magazine safety, and that isn't necessarily on all guns. It's probably not on a lot of guns, but it is on some guns, especially more modern guns, as an added level of safety, so that if a person drops the magazine and doesn't realize that there's a round in the chamber, hopefully they're not going to shoot that round off accidentally. And if they have the magazine safety, it'll be almost impossible for them to do that. All right, that covers 6 different types of safeties. Hopefully that covers most of the ones out there. I can't really think of too many others. If I've forgotten a particular safety, then feel free to leave a comment. Let us know what I might have missed. But thanks again for watching another Replica Airguns video. Don't forget to subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also come on down to our Replica Airguns online stores over at replicairguns.ca for Canada and replicairguns.us for the US, where we sell air guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, pellet guns, blank guns, and other accessories. A lot of the guns I showed you today we sell in those stores. Again, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.